Oh, there's Nicole. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and there's a.
No. Plug it in.
Oh, it's in there.
No.
You might ask, just has the appearance of.
They did. They moved our cheese. Dare they?
Ready?
I'm sorry, I missed this, but you got it.
All right. Welcome to this regular monthly meeting of the Charlottesville Board of Architectural Review. Staff will introduce each item, followed by the applicant's presentation, which should not exceed 10 minutes. Chair will then ask for questions from the public, followed by questions from the BAR. After questions are closed, Chair will ask for comments from the public. For each application, members of the public are allowed 3 minutes to ask questions and 3 minutes to offer comments. Speakers shall identify themselves, and comments should be limited to the BAR's purview, that is regarding only the exterior aspects of a project. Following the BAR's discussion and prior to taking action, the applicant will have up to 3 minutes to respond. All right. First agenda item, matters from the public not under items C through E on the agenda, which means that the consent agenda is considered a matter from the public. The only thing on the consent agenda are the meeting minutes from the November 18th, 2025 meeting. Do we have any matters from the public not on the agenda? Online? Nope. Okay. Our next item is the consent agenda with meeting minutes from November.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. Consent agenda passes. Thank you. All right, there are no deferred items this evening, and so we'll go straight to our first new item, which is window replacements for 701 through 705 West Main Street. Mr. Werner, if you'd like to start with your staff report. that'd be great.
And to be clear, when matters from the public, people can comment on consent.
Yes.
And then that might lead to pulling it. Of course, then you have to decide, having a conversation with. All right. First up, this is a COA request for to replace the windows on this building on West Main. I'm trying to use the new format, and but it's 3 store fronts. It's one building built in the 1920s, and I'm looking at 2 different things. Kate, that's nice. Yeah, developed in 1921 to replace a mixed-use block of residences. So yeah, this was constructed in the 1920s. It has obviously the brick facade. It's got the, I learned the word quarry cut stones, quarry-faced stone lintels and sills. We know that the interior of the space was 70s, and we discussed that a little bit in the pre-meeting. But we think, by and large, the windows, at least on the primary facade and on that side, are likely original to the building. I think there have been obviously some alterations to the rear. I think, like all of the window projects that we've looked at recently, and as we just discussed, how to treat some of these 20th century buildings. They're not, is it a commercially made window? These aren't handmade, yet at the same time, there's the importance of the aesthetic of the original elevation. So at the very least, I would encourage the applicant to, if at all possible, try to find a salvageable sash and reinsert those in the front windows, at least to maintain that original material. But otherwise, if they're not able to do that, they are proposing the use of sash inserts, so it comes with the frame, and this is a type, the Marvin, that fits tight inside, so it doesn't close down. That, you've seen some of the past that have, they're an inch or two smaller than the window, and you end up with a large piece of flashing. These are custom made and designed to have just enough room to square them up and shim them and have a minimal reduction in the width. So those are my recommendation, if at all possible, to preserve those on the front elevation, but otherwise, this is a early 20th century building, and the aesthetic is important. And as Mr. Burrell raised earlier tonight, the city's comprehensive plan does also address the importance of energy efficiency. So there's some validity in evaluating that as well. Do you have any questions for me?
Is the applicant here? Would you like to give a presentation or speak to this?
Not 10.
That's okay.
So thank you guys for having us. Thank you for considering this. My name is Calder Kegley. I'm here representing the owner of 701, 705 West Main. And since purchasing this building almost 10 months ago to the day, we've been faced with many challenges and have gotten plenty of surprises. After bringing on Mitchells Matthews Architects, we began to formulate a plan to heavily renovate and revive the 5 apartment units that are upstairs. With help of my friend Martin Quarles, who's also here with me for technical support, who's got a long history of building and renovating both commercial and residential properties in Charlottesville. We dove into the necessities to really help preserve the building for at least another 100 years. It was very evident early on that in order to improve the thermal barriers of the units, not to mention the rest of the building, the windows needed to be examined. With Martin's help, as well as Mark Wingers from Gaston & Wyatt, we were able to find and spec the Marvin Ultimate Series inserts that fit very nicely into the space, and best of all, do not come with storm windows. By using these inserts, we'll be able to satisfy the thermal needs while also presenting an unrecognizable exterior facade. And also during this process, all the exterior trim will be repainted. The rusticated seals will be repaired and preserved. And like I said, there will be no storm windows, and any damage that those incurred to the original frames will be repaired. Furthermore, just talking about the exterior and around the windows, all the brickwork we're planning on repointing, replacing the existing brick that is not repairable, and going around the entire exterior. And lastly, with all the previous and upcoming high-rise construction that is happening on West Main Street, we hope that we can be recognized a little for our effort in not only preserving but creating a space that is inviting within a historic building inside a historic district, and perhaps by example, others will take this path rather than building anew. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Do we have any questions from the public?
I do not see. No.
Somebody in the waiting room.
Okay. Any questions from the BAR?
Yeah, I'll make one comment.
Oh, sure.
As you indicated earlier.
Yeah, do you mind, actually, sorry, can you go up here? Just in case anybody's listening online or watching.
As you indicated earlier, the building was renovated in the early 70s. I'm almost certain the sash on the streetscape are not original, and they represent that, and they don't perform well.
I got you.
That's it.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. You're not going for rehabilitation tax credits, are you?
No.
Apologize if you mentioned this. Did you say that the window units, the air conditioner units, are those going away?
Yes, I did not mention that. Speaking of that real quick. So again, when we acquired this building, there was an air-conditioned AC unit in just about every other window around West Main and 7th Street. And then what led us to taking them out was all the tenants left right about the end of December, and then we had a really big cold snap. So my paranoia, to prevent any water from freezing, all the AC units came out, and then we actually put sealed plastic around the entire interior. And that actually made an incredible difference in the heating capabilities of that space. And you get every single piece of plastic was blowing in like a sail on a boat. It's pretty unique. But yes, no more AC units.
Okay.
Any questions for the applicant?
I was thinking about it, but no. All right, any comments from the public?
No one online.
All right. And comments from the BAR? Go ahead.
I'm just going to go ahead and say, the windows there are simple, easily replaceable. We're not losing any historic fabric that represents any sort of handicraft or anything. I recognize, staff's comment about finding a sash on another elevation of the building, but there are none. And even if there was, it'd be pretty piecemeal. So, there are no sashes that match these. So I'm fully in support of this.
And it seems like there's no sashes that date to the original construction either, if this assessment's correct. So, yeah, I think my biggest thing is making sure that the Marvin windows match as closely as they can to the 1/1 and proportions of this existing, which I think the existing are a replication of what was there originally, most likely. So it's pretty close. I don't really have any objections to the application. So.
I would say that the kind of cumulative benefit of new windows in the kind of overall preservation of the building is definitely a net positive for the user benefit, comfort, and just sort of general appreciation of the building, so I'd support this.
Just a comment related to kind of the ultimate decision. I just wanted to, I think it's Mr. Kegley who did a window-by-window survey. I really appreciated that because it allowed me to see all of the different conditions, not just the front, but the back windows, and some of them were really, really poor, kind of irreparable. Some were okay, but I really appreciated that work that was done on behalf of the owner, so.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And
please.
apologies for the black and white, but it's really hard to take
Yeah.
pictures of windows in color.
I'm impressed that you got the photos that you did. Yeah, so thank you.
Okay,
Can I make a motion?
sure.
Having considered the standards set forth within the city code, including the city's ADC district design guidelines, I move to find that the proposed window replacements at 701 to 705 West Main Street satisfy the BAR's criteria and are compatible with this property and other properties in the district, and that the BAR approves the application as submitted.
Second.
All right.
Just a comment.
Yeah, any discussion? Go ahead.
Yeah, discussion. There were conditions in the staff report. Are we thinking that we'd like to express a preference for any of the materials?
I think they gave us a
There's a cut sheet, but
window.
I figured we might want to
Okay.
put that in a motion. If anybody, we didn't really talk about materiality.
I'd
But
accept
didn't the
that.
proposal give that as submitted, that they're going to go
Yeah.
with those conditions?
It's
So
not, it doesn't hurt to put it in our motion,
Okay.
is all I'm saying.
I am fine with that.
Or to give the applicant some flexibility. It seems like they've chosen what they want, but anybody can agree with Ron and just tell me to hoof it.
So I'll amend my motion to add, the replacement windows should be wood, metal, or metal clad, not vinyl or plastic. For any windows that have divided lights, there should be an internal spacer bar, and the muntin width should be between 5/8 and 7/8 inch. And the insert frame should fit relatively tight to the opening, and retain the existing exterior trim, or if that exterior trim has to be replaced, to replace it with something that is similar.
Second.
Okay. I'll call a vote. Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Burrow?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
Aye.
Mr. Rosenthal?
Yes.
Ms. Tabbany?
Yes.
I vote yes. All right, thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Good luck with your restoration.
I told him it wasn't necessary.
Okay, that's fine.
So the next item on the agenda is a certificate of appropriateness application for the historic downtown mall, replacement of the trash cans.
Trash can replacement plan.
Trash can replacement plan.
It's, do we have,
Oh, yeah, I'm getting it.
oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, this was one, as you had said earlier, easily have been on consent, but, I really wanted to give Cliff the opportunity to be seen on Channel 10, so I'm going to have to give him grief for not being here. But you all know the story of the downtown mall. It was developed in 1976, and the first phase was completed in 1976, and then subsequently additional sections were added. It has been on the National Register for some time as part of the Charlottesville Historic District, but we recently got it listed individually and relative to the work of Lawrence Halpern Associates, and also, interestingly, due to the public process that led to it being developed. Normally, you have to wait 50 years, so this was put on the register 2 years early because of those reasons. The trash cans that are currently on the mall are not the original. I think you've heard me say before, the only original can on the mall that we're familiar with is at Central Place. Cliff said they found another one in the city, and I have to find out where that is, so add it to our mall scavenger hunt with the benches. I tried to determine when these were approved, but it's somewhat cryptic that over time, the Halpern cans seem to disappear. I think that may have been when some of the later extensions of the mall were done. And then there's reference in, when you all reviewed the rebricking of the mall in 2008, there's reference to additional trash cans. So I think this was sort of in that 90s, 2000 era when the original cans were displaced and these were installed. So these are in no way, shape, or form associated with the Halpern plan, the Halpern design. They're consistent in their color and their metal, but and they're round. So other than that, they are not in and of themselves particularly important elements relative to saying we have to match these. But the cans that we have now they swivel on this tubular frame. Those are no longer being produced by the manufacturer, but there is a similar, I think it's all but identical can from the same manufacturer. That's the one on the right. The new will sit on top of a pedestal that's anchored onto the mall. And so that the tubular frames you see will be removed. And you'll note it, while they've said this is part of the plan, I want to make sure we do state in the motion that the granite pavers will be replaced. I would recommend they not be patched. They should be replaced. There are several places where the cans are installed in concrete, and so they can fix that however they wish. But I think on the mall, we want to make sure that the granite is replaced. There's nothing imminent going to happen. They have, I think, a half dozen of the cans on the left that they were able to acquire hadn't been installed. So this is Parks and Rec's just trying to get out ahead of, because some of them are in rush shape, and they're difficult, believe it or not, these are difficult to empty out, and there's a lot of deteriorated metal on the frames. So by adopting a replacement can, it allows them to do some planning and as they move forward. And in talking to Parks and Rec, the idea would be, I said, are you going to just do one here, one there? And, preference would be that they try to do things in groups, but when you're out on the mall and look at it, it's not necessarily critical that, the trash cans all match on a particular block. So I think this is a good plan, and I said it allows Parks and Rec to get out ahead of things and do some planning and have some things ready as they move forward to replace the cans. So as I said, I recommended the approval. I did have I had the recommendation of the condition about the replacement of the pavers. And so unless you have any questions for me, it's all yours.
Do we know what the original ones did look like?
The original cans, there is a photograph in your staff report.
Oh, there is?
They were round.
Didn't see it.
That's about all I could say. Metal and round. It's in there and if I deleted it,
I don't remember
I
it.
must have.
No.
It's been a, yeah.
I'm just, I mean, that was obviously just a curiosity.
Yeah, it's a, it literally is a round can with a, kind of like a tapered lid down to a hole.
Huh.
And it's,
So it let rain out.
Oh, yeah.
It's very open.
it's the one sitting at Central
Yeah.
Place on top of it. It's hiding as a tree. They removed the tree.
Okay.
They put the trash can on top of it, and it's been there forever. And I've somewhat opposed any touching of it. I think it's become something
The monument.
it's an icon of the mall.
So the other question I had, you said that the new ones are going to sit on a pedestal.
Correct.
Is it attached to this pedestal?
So it's anchored. So the
Pedestal's anchored.
Yeah.
Is the can
I
anchored
don't
to
know the
pedestal?
mechanism of how they work. I don't think people will be picking up and stealing cans.
Just knocking them over is what I'm
But
worried
it's you can slightly just see it on the right. There's a
Yeah.
pedestal that anchored to the mall floor, and then the can is latched onto it in some way.
So just tilt the lid back and pull it back. Okay, thank you. Any other questions for staff?
I mean, I guess Cliff is not here or not online. Okay.
And if you got questions, I mean, we're trying to get out ahead.
I can put them in my comments.
Yeah, if you had something else, we can.
I'll just make some
Any
comments.
questions from the public? Any-
No one online.
I have a question that's not
Question from
completely,
VAR.
I don't know, I'm just out of curiosity. I see that the new ones have a hinge lid, and that's how they would empty them. How are the current ones emptied if they're if they're hanging?
What Cliff said is
Do they have to
they're
reach
very
in?
difficult to, and I didn't get into it. It seems like they swing and
Jeez.
move the bag, but
Wow.
I took his word for
For
it.
ease of staff dealing with that, I would think that these new ones are a whole lot better.
Yeah, and they're available.
Any other questions from the VAR? Yeah,
Do they already have separate recycling cans on the mall for recycling?
good question.
There are cans on some locations. There are two, and it's the recycling because it has the little round hole and not the giant mouth.
And not the Pac-Man mouth?
yeah.
Hole?
But it's
Somebody,
not-
when they replaced because it looks like they did do some replacements, the signage that says recycling did not get replaced.
Well, like
So it's
something I
really hard to
can-
know what's recycling and what's, without recognizing the fact that you got the little round hole versus the big opening.
That's a good question for Mr.
Yeah.
Dooms. Okay.
Unless there are other comments, I'm ready with a motion.
Oh, I do have some comments on
No,
this. So are
we
ready
haven't
for-
gotten to comments
Oh,
yet.
gosh, yeah, Carl hasn't made comments
Any
yet.
comments from
What was
the-
I thinking of?
Any comments from the public? We had a question, but that's okay.
No
Nope,
one online?
the three members, y'all good? Okay, now we'll go to comments from the VAR.
So again, I don't want to, it's a trash can. I mean, at the end of the day, it matches. I don't think it really, like our purview, fine. But I guess what gets me is, does it really matter that the new one matches the old one so precisely? Because, or does it matter that it's just black and round? What it gets me is we've got 6 replacement receptacles and 25 base covers, which I think are the little tiny pucks that cover where the thing mounts in
scutcheon.
the ground.
Yeah.
For $19,500. That's a lot of money for 6 trash cans. And so I don't know if we're gonna be replacing, there's a lot of them out there, and we're gonna be replacing these over time. Are we stuck with this same manufacturer? Does it really, so just throwing that out there to Parks and Rec is, does the BAR actually care that this trash can looks exactly like the one that showed up sometime in early 2000s? Or do we care that it's just fits in with all the other trash cans that are out there?
I guess, you want to talk to that?
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
why don't-
happy to comment on
I have a
that.
comment too.
Go ahead.
My thought is, it sounds like they're trying to do like a phased rollout. And so I do see value in them matching the older ones so that you've got a consistent look up and down the mall, even if it takes 10 years to like roll out and then you're back at replacing the ones we started with. I take your point,
Yeah.
like, you know, is there a cheaper option that still achieves the goal? But if the idea is to have, I do see value in consistency and appearance.
My other concern is that if you look at those little, the attachments to the pavers, some of them are really rusted out, and the city throws down way too much salt every winter, which at some point I wish we could have a discussion about that, because it's destroying the buildings and all the mall furniture. But this new trash can is made out of steel, not stainless steel, but just plain ordinary steel that's been powder coated, and when it's sitting directly on the ground, are the bottoms all gonna rust out in a short amount of time? So that's just a question for, has it been considered?
Maybe that's why these ones, the current ones were hung, basically.
I'm wondering if that might have been
Yeah.
part of the reason for that. I noticed on this manufacturer's website, I didn't see that they had any trash cans that were hung. So I don't know if that's just something people don't do anymore. But I'm curious about the longevity of these trash cans sitting in so much salt every winter, especially if they're just made out of plain steel. And the other thing, I am kind of wondering, do those steel hangers provide any sort of protection? Are people, because some of the big giant cast iron planters don't get busted up, but other people's planters do. I feel like somebody must walk up and down the mall with a baseball bat every once in a while. So I'm kind of wondering if once we take these trash cans out from their little protective bollard areas, are they now going to be subject to getting kicked over and busted up? So again, I'm just wanting some things I want to throw out there to Parks and Rec to. But if the BAR thinks that these trash cans should match exactly minus the bollards, then I guess the conversation doesn't matter. But if we're a little bit less concerned about that, then I'm wondering if it would be worth shopping around a little more.
I mean, or could the bollards just be modified to have a hanger that holds the new trash can? You just leave the bollards in place. Or a tab or something, you could have it where it's got a padlock, so.
Yeah, although then are we modifying every trash can
Yeah.
to fit that?
Yeah.
And the replacement has a hinged lid, so that might not be optimal.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm kind of getting at is if this is not time sensitive, I mean, I don't want to stand in the way of us approving a trash can that's perfectly acceptable. But if it's something that Parks and Rec wouldn't, if they wanted to consider some of these questions, I don't know that would hurt.
I want to ask you a question, Carl. Well, actually, I think the cost is an interesting question, but is that the trash cans or is that the masonry repair of this, the granite? And is that going to be happening regardless?
I think that the 19,500 was for, they preemptively bought 6 trash cans for when some of these fail in the future, they can just pop a new one in place.
Okay, so that's just trash cans.
Yeah. So Jeff, the cost of the granite would be something extra, correct?
I don't know. I can't respond to I know what you just said is correct. These were no longer available and they got what they could, but then realizing, all right, well, as we move forward, my answer to them, to Cliff, was that primarily what the VARs would be concerned about is consistency. And while we recognize we can't, we're not going to go out and remake these, that they are at least, there's consistency in that intent. It's round, they're black, they're located in similar locations, things like that. So the fact that there was something that was visibly similar made it a little bit easier. I don't think that there's I can certainly ask if there were other options they wanted to consider, but it's possible they selected this simply feeling, there is a lot, and I'm still tamping this down all the time, the BAR did this, the BAR did that, and 99% of the time it's not true, but you do see other departments responding to this fear that the BAR somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm worried that they chose this because someone decided that the existing trash cans that aren't original are somehow sacred because they're.
And it's
there.
possible, but, and I said, Cliff, we're working together on a couple things, and, this is not imminent. I think it would be helpful to okay it, but if there's, I don't know, they may not need to buy one of these for a couple of years, so I can have a conversation with him about it, but.
So is Cliff with the city or no?
Yes.
Okay.
And have these trash cans already been purchased, the six?
A couple of,
Yes.
they have some that match what's there now. They haven't purchased anything
So
beyond those.
they knew that these were being discontinued, so they spent $20,000 to buy six.
The
to
old
have
ones.
them ready to replace, of the old style.
Right.
So they still will have 6 more trash cans that can fail that they can replace before they move on to the new ones.
And this unrelated somewhat to this, but most of you know, since I came on, I've been pushing for a long-term maintenance plan, management plan for the mall, short-term, mid-term, and long-term. You can see the condition of the mall. I walked it again today, looking at some things, and it's in rough shape. And we need a plan. We can't, all of a sudden, wake up one day and go, oh my gosh, surprise, surprise, the bricks need to be replaced. We shouldn't be surprised by those things. And so, this is somewhat trying to get out ahead of that. But there's a lot going on out there, and I think you all could, at the BAR, I'm trying to keep you all involved in the mall as much as possible. But there's always that question of all right, well, to what extent do I bring things to you? So I'm glad that they're asking about this, and but I agree. If you think there's something that would be more suitable, or if you think there's something, a design part or an aesthetic, I think Parks and Rec is more than happy to hear some ideas if you have any. And we're going to talk about that, in fact, at the end of the meeting, another opportunity for some collaboration on the mall. But
So, and I guess I want to make sure my comments are framed more as not, this is unacceptable,
Right.
and we want to, cause more work for you. It's more of, if you had the opportunity to choose something else, would you? Like, if you didn't think that you had to match it exactly, would there be a better option out there?
Well, I will put, I think, that's a great question for them to
Different
comment.
manufacturer that doesn't
And you
cost
can always change it later.
$3,000 a trash can?
No,
Are we tabling this?
Well, so these are good questions, but they do have a COA before us. And so if we want them to reconsider.
We can vote to approve this, I'm fine with that, as long as those questions get, because they can always come back to us later and say, is this different trash can okay?
Yeah.
I doubt the city is charging themselves a fee to do a COA.
I have a
Not
comment.
that matters either.
All right, Roger.
Yes, I went out there at lunchtime, and I didn't see any problems with the trash cans that I saw, and I didn't do an extensive,
Right.
and, this trash can is perfectly fine, but this is the least of the concerns of the downtown mall right now, is this
Yes.
trash can. And the point that the person in the audience made is a much bigger point. Why don't we have recycling cans that are really obvious? Totally a separate comment, but, if we're trying to promote recycling in the city like we do, it's kind of lame.
I agreed. And they could find something that matches this stylistically that
Sure.
has a recycling lid or something.
Well, they do. And, I mean,
I guess it's the number of them.
Yeah, they're just
Sounds like
not,
they're lacking.
right,
Now-
there's only a few.
Some services are single stream, so you just throw it all in one bin and they sort it out. So I don't know if that's the case. I am not, but I have it on my note to ask.
But I'm fine with this design.
Actually, that's a very good question. Is it single stream or not?
Yeah, that's actually, because it has design
Whether you
implications.
approve it or not.
Yeah.
no, it's not what we're
For
approving.
you.
I think we.
Yeah.
I think the city's fine
Functionality
with
is
that.
beyond review.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure, I'm sorry. You guys have comments? I only am finding one guideline, which is what we're supposed to talk about, that pertains to trash containers. And it's in section G of chapter 6, public improvements. It's number 1, trash containers shall be metal and should match other street furniture. We have encouraged black furniture in the mall. So I would say that it meets that. And I would say there's number 3 criteria says attempt to make street furniture. It doesn't mention trash cans in particular, but attempt to make them compatible in design, color, and materials with existing elements. So to the extent that there's any benefit, and I think there are 2. One, the new ones are the same manufacturer and generally match the existing and would be easier, you know. I also think there's a user component here that I don't even have to think that these are trash cans. Like, I'm used to that's the trash can on the mall, and you change, I'm not saying change color, we probably still, if we change another shape or whatever, I wonder how that would compete. I don't know, you know, it just, I look at this as we have to consider the application before us, and it meets the guidelines, so I'm prepared with a motion if anybody else doesn't have any other comments. Having considered the standards set forth within the city code, including the ADC district design guidelines, I move to find that the proposed replacement trash cans on the downtown mall satisfy the BAR's criteria are compatible with the downtown mall and this ADC district, specifically section G of chapter 6 of our guidelines. And that we approve the application as submitted, and would also add the condition that any damaged granite pavers, as the current bollards or hangers are removed, be completely replaced in kind, not just repaired. I would also just add a note to staff, not part of the motion, but it just should go on the record, that we would encourage a holistic look at recycling containers in the mall and how they might be located next to the trash containers to efficiently, get recycled items collected most efficiently. That's my motion.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Schwartz,
Yes.
Mr. Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Burrow.
Aye.
Ms. Lewis.
Aye.
Mr. Rosenthal.
Yes.
Ms. Taveney.
Yes.
I vote yes. New trash cans, yay.
Will my questions get forwarded to Parks and Rec? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so that concludes our new items on the agenda. And so we will move to pre-application conferences. Our first one is for 528 Valley Road. The project is construction of 9 townhomes. Staff report.
So this is a pre-application conference for a project in the Oakhurst Gildersleeve ADC district. So you're not making any votes tonight, you're not approving anything, no formal motions, but I will ask that you all, this is an opportunity to provide, given the scale of this thing, let's provide sort of position where the BAR falls relative to the massing, the scale, the placement of these, so that moving forward, if anything has to be contemplated relative to the site plan, that the applicant knows where you all stand. So quickly, existing on this site is a colonial revival brick dwelling that was constructed in 1937. Tried to learn a little bit about the folks that built it. Gentleman named Peter Witzel, and his family seem to have constructed and lived there until at least 1961, and then the Comptons moved in, and I couldn't determine how long they were there, but it appears that this has primarily been a rental unit since the Compton family left. Again, the existing house will not be, at least we haven't had any information about changes to it. It certainly might get rehabbed or tinkered with, but there are no changes being proposed in this iteration. The request is the construction of 3 buildings and labeled Building 1, 2, and 3. Building 1 being out at the street, and I think that's the one I would encourage you to maybe focus on. This is as I said, the staff report, this is an example of where we're heading with the new code of development, looking at higher density infill adjacent to single-family, what had been single-family dwellings, or certainly a single-family dwelling neighborhood. So this is what I suspect we will see more of versus the multi-story buildings that you think we might see more of. I think this is going to be the predominant theme. So the guidelines are very clear on an addition to an existing structure. This is an addition, but it's new construction, but it's associated with the district and this house. And while this isn't a district, this is somewhat similar to what we dealt with over on 7th Street, where the context for these 3 buildings, given if in the Oakhurst Gildersleeve district, in actually that view, you're looking south, but there's the road fish hooks and heads back towards the university. And this house sort of sits at the bottom somewhat by itself, and the rest of the street are these 1930s, 1940s, kind of Cape Cod cottage type houses. So there is the context of these is primarily in reference to the house at 528, and then immediately to in this image here, what would be the west, is an empty, just a wooded lot, and then some non-contributing structures. So my recommendation in the staff report is that you all kind of decide on some parameters for, do you want to look at this as an addition? I know it's not an addition, but look at it in terms of being subordinate to the primary structure, or do you, again, looking at primarily building number 1, do you look at that as almost, and I believe the intent is to create a new parcel, but as if that's a new building on a separate lot and sort of judging it in and of itself relative to the rest of the district. The architecture of it hasn't, I don't know how far that design has gone. It seems to be somewhat early, so, but I think the massing and the scale certainly can be evaluated. But there also is the materiality that, and when I talk about something being treated as an addition, if this, for example, the elevation here at the bottom, if that were an addition to this house, it certainly is differentiated from it. You wouldn't confuse the two, but you would also, is that compatible? Is that stark difference, does still achieve the compatibility that you would want to see in something, in a set of buildings so close together? So I'm offering some ideas to sort of frame around. And then, once you decide, all right, what's important, which context is important, which relationship is important, then as we move through the discussion, you kind of go back to, all right, well, we established that what's most important is X. The house to the left here, while the project crosses over the parcel boundary onto 526, that's to accommodate the parking lot, and so it is a 2-parcel project, but for the purposes today of this discussion, just focusing on 528. The house at 526 is 1940s or 50s ranch-style house. It looked like it had a pop-up done at some point in time. I'm not sure if the new townhouses are trying to emulate that, but I don't view 526, or at least the pop-up version, as contributing to the historic district there. So that's my sort of recommendations to you all. I don't want to go too much into the details. Again, preliminary discussion, there's an outline here of some of the things that you typically ask for, that you make sure if there's something particular that you would like to see in a detail or information provided, now's a good time to say it. And I think, ultimately, while we've tended to treat a pre-app discussion as sort of a meet and greet, I recommend that we take a stronger view and give the applicant some direction that they can move forward with. Any questions for me? Okay.
All right, is the applicant here this evening? Do y'all want to give any sort of presentation?
I don't have a formal presentation, but to introduce myself, I'm Adrienne Strong. I'm a principal with Gaines Group Architects. Ray Gaines is the applicant. He could not be here tonight, so I'll do my best to answer questions. We also have a representative from Ship Engineering here to answer any questions you might have for the civil engineering team. We did approach the project from a standpoint of preserving the existing house there and not touching it. So that's really what, this is in response to the city zoning and what's being allowed in the residential lots and trying to squeeze in that needed housing stock.
Gotcha. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay, well, this is a pre-application conference, so we're not going to invite questions or comments from the public, but I'll just kind of open it up to BAR, see what y'all's thoughts are. I guess my initial thought would be to look at these as new construction as opposed to additions, because they're not connected to the house at all. We should certainly kind of take the house into consideration as we're looking at these buildings, but to me, it's new construction. Seeing some nodding heads.
Yep, absolutely.
So that checks that box, Jeff. There's number one.
If only.
Yeah, and then, so I think we're charged with kind of trying to tackle some of the bigger picture things so we can whittle this thing down and help the applicant get to a good design, right? So I think scale and massing is our next topic of discussion. So.
Yeah, I want to commend you for preserving the house, for keeping the house. I mean, it's a really handsome house on the end of where this road, the character of the neighborhood kind of deteriorates as you get down to the bottom of this, and this is a really nice example of a mid-century, nicely scaled house. So if you're going to do that, then I think you need to respond to it in a way that is maybe more sympathetic than what you're suggesting with building 1 at least. I think building 2 and 3, because they're so subservient in the site plan, aren't as noticeably out of scale as building 1 is. And I don't know if you can get maybe that top floor into the roof with dormers. That would be maybe a possibility if it doesn't cut too much down on square footage. And I also think that the entries are not appropriate for the neighborhood. It seems like an afterthought almost, the 2 entry porches.
Is there an image that would be more helpful for you all to?
I think the axonometric, are there?
Well, quick question before you leave this. Oops, nope. So that on the left-hand side, that's the railroad track, right?
Correct.
So, and then I think what would be helpful, I don't know if there's sort of a street view that helps show how tall the buildings are in relation to the existing house, but that would help me out.
The axon's not bad.
Yeah, the axon kind of is what I'm looking at.
It's sort of bird's eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Well,
Sorry.
because that,
So picky.
The railroads, there's a
Yeah.
rise there where the sea monsters and the whirlwinds.
Right. I guess, there's 3 stories, right? The townhouses?
They are.
So they're a full story above the house itself.
Which is 200% of the prevailing height and width, which is our guidelines would permit that, and I'm sure the new zoning ordinance does, so. I'll make some comments. The height and width is hard for us because of the new zoning ordinance and our guidelines. Maybe, I don't want to say they're in direct opposition, but maybe kind of hard to reconcile right now. So I'd benefit giving the applicant a little bit of leeway in that, where our guidelines might require a more strict application, if the ordinance is calling for that, just the massing and all of that. But for instance, the spacing between the buildings is, it's very, very limited. And I don't know, I know this is preliminary, maybe there are fire code issues, maybe you've already, looked at those, but I would say spacing. I'd also just like to ask the applicant, and if Shimp has already passed on that, that's great. Yeah.
I can speak a little bit to the spacing. With all of these lots that we're trying to work on, we're running into a lot of utilities and easements and requirements that make it really hard to fit all the intended density of the zoning code. So that's kind of why you're seeing the layout, the area where the parking is, and all of the area behind 526. There's a bunch of existing sanitary pipes that go off in various directions in that area. So we're kind of trying to fit things where they can go.
And I'm sorry to be asking you guys this question, but you would know, how many heights could you do here on any of these buildings? Just 3?
Yeah, it's max 3 stories or 40 foot in RB zoning. Yeah.
I'll just, because we're supposed to sort of be asking you questions, and you've had to submit this and you've been given a copy of the guidelines. Why don't you tell us how these new buildings comply with our design guidelines? You could just point out some things, maybe this is a question for the architect.
Yeah, absolutely. So because of the zoning, we do have a minimum but also a maximum setback from the road. So these structures do have to get closer to the road. There's also a build to width, so we do have to cover a certain amount of that road frontage there, which makes placing these a little bit tricky on a very narrow site. We did try to at least scale it down somewhat with that water table design, not so much responding to what's at 526, but just to try and reduce the scale down a little bit, facing the road there at Valley Road, and then looked at some of the colors from the neighborhood to really pull in some of the existing greens. There's some green roofs, green shutters throughout the neighborhood that we tried to emulate with this, but also make it look like it's new stock and it's not trying to replicate something that's existing there.
In the staff report, on page 3 at the bottom, there's an analysis of the spatial elements and setbacks,
And I was
spacing,
kind of following
massing.
along with those, yeah.
And so within an RB zoned district, the front setback can be 10 to 20 feet, but also can be within the existing range of nearby properties. So that's it's not a required. This is one where they said that they're, looking at what's going on the rest of the street. So
there's not a maximum setback?
well, it's 10 to 20 feet or within the existing range of nearby properties. Now, I don't know whether that's something the zoning administrator has to answer to, but you have the latitude to
Set it back a little bit more.
It's not prevented by zoning.
Can I add a quick response to that? So on the portion of the lot with building 1, the width of that portion of the lot is 34 feet. So once you subtract a 5-foot rear setback, 5-foot front, or 10 if you go all the way, and then we also have to stay off of the stream there. So going any smaller kind of makes that not buildable at all, I think is, again, why we're at the layout that we're at. Just trying to,
Is the stream parallel with the train tracks?
yes.
Okay. And is that shown as is that the dashed line that I'm seeing?
On the other,
In the site plan?
probably.
It's the 3 dots and a dash.
Yeah.
Yeah, it pretty
Yeah.
much parallels that lower boundary line that you're seeing there,
And
so.
what's the offset you need from the stream?
We are in coordination with
Okay.
the city engineers on this. There's some discussion on what this is designated at. So yeah, there may be some more back and forth with that, but we're not gonna get more space than what we're showing now. That's for sure.
I want to echo Mr. Burrell's comments. I agree with all of them. I'm just looking at in respect to the relationship to the existing building. This building feels like it's too far forward and too big on the street. This is just sort of a kind of my gut reaction. And I wonder if you actually like flipped the building on the site plan north to south, like what that would do, and cranked it to the street, align with the stream, if that would like lessen that massing, that sort of overwhelming massing.
You wouldn't have that big corner.
Right, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. Staying parallel to the street there is not helping.
Yeah.
It's making it proud of the historic asset, you know.
And then your smaller volume would sort of be a little bit more sympathetic to the other volumes along the street front.
Yeah.
But again, I think the notion of the entry, the form of the entry, they feel very diminutive now. I think we should celebrate the entry spaces a little bit more. I also think there's something interesting about your facades where there's a kind of vertical striation with the windows, because I think you have some stair columns behind where the windows are sort of offsetting, which is kind of colliding with your horizontal banding. And I wonder if you switched your kind of horizontality to a more vertical expression on the front, if that would actually help you kind of break down those facades a little bit more. I personally don't think there's like a problem with going with the height, and so like why try to like shorten it with a kind of horizontal stripes? Just maybe I would suggest respond more to the function of your building and where the windows are falling, and sort of celebrate what's going on from the interior there.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's, so our guidelines do allow you to be, within 200% of the height, and you are. And I think the width, I think you found that was right, pretty close to where it needs to be. But it is, compared to its context though, it is a very large flat building, and surrounded by a bunch of 1.5-story Cape Cods. So I think the materiality and the way that you kind of, I don't want to say decorate, but yeah, decorate the building is there a way to break the massing down? So yes, either treat it like townhouses or something so it's more vertical in its breakdown so it doesn't feel quite so wide, or maybe there's a way to modulate the facade a little bit so it's not so flat. The flatness is, those windows, because it's such a flat facade, I mean, it makes sense. I know what you're doing with the stairs and whatnot, but it looks like someone just kind of scattershot windows on a flat facade. And I don't think that's what you're going for. I do agree with the other statements that it does feel like it's too close to the street. So if there is some way to crank it or change the orientation or something that makes it fit better with the existing setback range, that would be great. But if not, if there's some way to at least break down the massing somehow. You've got sort of a semi-contemporary roof going on. It doesn't really, it's not contemporary, it's not modern, but it's also not traditional. And I think, there's a mid-century modern house, a couple houses to the west. I think it's the only one in there, but at least it is there. So you could do something contemporary, but if you do, then kind of do something contemporary. And this is kind of it's an in-between right now that I don't think is fitting in with anything. What else did I get at? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, yeah. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I think the buildings 2 and 3, I'm a little less concerned about. It'd be great if you could do something to make those facades a little less plain as well, but because they're behind the existing house, it seems like they're a little less.
And just
It's
to
building
add
1 that's much more.
a little bit of context, looking just slightly more to the left of the screen there, the hospital rises up in the background,
Right.
so it sort of dwarfs everything there.
And the new UVA.
Can I just make sure I'm hearing you all, I'm understanding, or I'm hearing what you're saying? It's that this house here, it's not over here, it's this relationship here. It's like if they're away for that, I was looking for the laser, but away for that left-hand side, they pit it.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Kate-
almost a
Kate said.
180.
I don't know if there's.
Not, I don't know if there's.
Well, so go to the plan.
So 180, yeah, that's
If
interesting.
you go to the plan
If you
view,
can
hold on.
do-
So if you take building 1 down there in the lower left,
This,
what if you aligned it similar to the other two where what's now the front of the building becomes the back and is aligned more with the property line, right?
That's what Kate was saying.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I'm agreeing with what she was
Yeah.
saying. I don't know if that was,
well, yeah, that's what, it's not the whole front. That's what I'm,
I'm saying spin it.
it's not the, it's.
The smaller
it's
portion
the-
becomes the front with a step back.
Yeah.
A jog in it.
And hopefully that works with the zoning code.
Yeah,
I'm
we
wondering
have
if it
to be
does.
distinct.
This is the stream.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I think it is better what you're describing. I'm just saying, yeah.
I'm not a zoning code expert,
Right,
so.
right. I didn't say that. I did not say that.
Pushing.
Nope. Doing that.
So the double volume is on the left side?
It's on the bottom.
Pinched side. Oh, it's on that,
I mean, that second volume might still need to sort of deform a little bit. And,
yeah.
you know, but I think if the main mass is parallel to the creek, and I think it would work, and you wouldn't be any closer to the creek than you already are with this.
Yeah. I also, how close is building 2 to the existing house? Because it looks like it's
Yeah, that's
2 feet
pretty
right there.
close there in the site plan, isn't it?
It says 15 feet, is that right?
Right there in that corner? Is that a back porch
That's
there?
a patio.
Yeah.
Patio? Still right there.
Yeah.
That was my first question, was whether, but you said you had checked on that.
I can double check that.
Yeah, how much parking do you have?
Yeah, that's
We have- We're currently showing 15 spaces.
for how many units? You have 9?
9, yeah.
Plus the existing, I believe the intent is for 526 and 528 to also utilize this parking lot, if I'm right. Right now, there's a lot of parking in the front yard of 528. So trying to get rid of that situation and allow that beautiful porch to be shown, but.
But we also are required to meet the new zoning code bike parking requirements. So there is 1 long-term bike parking per unit plus like 2 or so short-term bike spaces. And this is pretty close to a lot of the UVA areas, I think.
And this owner also owns 526?
And is there
I know we're
a-
supposed to only look
a
at what's being
parking
submitted to us,
requirement?
but I would take that
The
out.
current, sorry. Did you finish that thought? He asked the second question.
Well, the reason and that's what I said in the staff report about, a portion of 526 includes this, but for purposes of this discussion, we're treating it as 528, and you certainly can, if you don't, if issues with, and the guidelines do address the site design, and the parking lot is fair game on that. But when if this comes back and it's a formal application, it would be for 526 and 528, or which, if these are broken into separate parcels, however it is. But all the parcels that would be affected would be part of that application.
Have you thought about redeveloping 526 or adding on to it? I mean, looks like there's a lot of real estate there. No.
I don't know that that has been brought to us as a topic of consideration, but I can certainly ask the owner.
I think what was said was that it looks like it was a cape, one story, and then it was busted out, you know.
Yeah.
A second story was added. So our guidelines say that when there is an addition to, which we've determined it's not, but if these were attached and being added onto this, that we would want to distinguish the new from the old. But actually the opposite, our guidelines say the opposite about new construction near a historic asset, that they should complement them and not mimic anything and not be false historicism, but should complement them. And I just don't see how, at least in these, you know, I know this is really early and this is not refined, it's probably massing and setbacks and stuff that you want us to look at. But I find this historic asset like really unique. That loggia, for lack of a better word, is so different. I mean, that is just a really unique thing on, you know, relatively modest house that I think distinguishes it from a lot of other houses in the city. I don't know if that, especially on a front facade. And I wouldn't want you to mimic that, but I wonder in a contemporary way whether you could reflect that or other aspects of this house. We're not getting a really good view of it, and I didn't have a chance to drive by, but I'm not saying put fake gabled windows or whatever, but picking up on cues that would situate it and make them respond to the historic asset. And I think it is historic, you know, and like I said, I think it's unique in my opinion, just because it's, who did that? I mean, it's a
Well,
lot
I
of-
think it's also the district, right? Like, this isn't,
Yeah.
it's not an IPP, so like, it seems like the majority are that kind of Cape Cod style.
Yeah.
So I
even
do
without
think-
the loggia or whatever.
That's
but
right.
Yeah, but the brick Cape Cod, you know.
Right, so some
that palette.
materiality.
Yep.
You might could try and introduce some brick or I think Roger's suggestion of the sort of dormer window is maybe a way to kind of reduce the feel of the height, but still achieve your 3 stories, you know? It'd be on a bigger scale, of course, but I think, yeah, like you can see how some of those, all of them almost have dormer windows, so that's a feature that you can pick up on that's in the district, right, and respects the district. Sort of colonial revival, Cape Cod-y style.
And again, you're talking about building one and not necessarily saying
I mean, I
1, 2,
would
and
say
3 have
that
to all
for the
match.
other
This
2,
is- okay.
but primarily building one. But I mean, the other 2 aren't going to fully disappear behind this house, right? They're going to peek up over it, and so they should respect the house and the district. So yeah, I mean, I think materiality might be a way to achieve some of that too. There's a lot of brick, though. There's a lot of painted white too. I almost feel like the duality of what you've got is almost like referencing more the other house, 526.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so
Very
I
compatible,
don't know-
526.
I don't know if that's the way it wants to go, but that's just my opinion. You know, the only real redeeming feature there is that really strong chimney, I think. But
Yeah.
I do, and also I think I wanted to echo his comment on the window placement. Like, I guess especially on the rendering of building 1, there's at least 2 windows that were sort of crossing over between the lower portion and the upper portion, and that didn't look so great. But I think we've also all recognized this is early on in the design stage, so a lot of this is going to get fleshed out as y'all do your work, right? What other questions do you have for us? Do you have some specific things you wanted to hit us up with?
It was mostly the massing and materiality. There will be some difficulty getting brick onto the site just because they are shoehorned onto these lots.
Sure.
So it might be, we can look at thin brick options or something to that effect. But.
So it's that close that the thickness of a brick veneer would cause a problem?
It's pretty close, and we worry about constructability with getting contractors in to do the work, so we don't want to put things right up on the edge, but especially getting a mason, that would turn that corner between the buildings, but yes, that is something we can explore.
When you talk about materiality, I do notice you've got vinyl windows called out, which is, we it'd be a very hard uphill fight to get those. Similarly, the siding, is it fiber cement, or are you guys thinking vinyl for that? I don't think vinyl, I guess. I think at least fiber cement. Okay.
Yes, so I know that margins on this one are tight, so we'll see what we can do there.
Okay. But that's pretty explicit in our guidelines that vinyl's, we don't want to see that.
Okay.
Any other thoughts? So I've been taking notes. I was going to just rattle them off really quick because we're trying to do better at summarizing these pre-apps. And folks, please jump in if I misspeak or if you want to correct me. So we're considering this new construction as opposed to an addition. We compliment you for saving and respecting the existing house. Thank you. Scaling and massing of building 1 is kind of more, I'll say troublesome, but more of a challenge, I guess, than maybe buildings 2 and 3. Perhaps reduce the size of number 1, maybe using dormers to achieve a 3rd floor, or potentially flipping the floor plan around to reduce the facade along the street side, respecting that may conflict with zoning code, but should be looked at and considered. Switch from a horizontal to a vertical breakdown to help break down the facades, but go ahead and kind of own the verticality of the buildings. For the roof line, sort of pick a style and go with it. Carl mentioned there's kind of contemporary, modern, traditional, but they're not like one thing. Question of how close is building 2 to the existing house. The new construction should complement the historic assets in district. And then materiality, we asked to, explore brick, dormer windows, Cape Cod style, and avoid vinyl. So, decent summary, any additions or? Cool.
And I'll just tell you all the video will is online. You can go back and listen to that. And it's always fun to hear, what you missed. So that's streaming now, but just go to the city's webpage and follow there. Okay.
Cool. Well, we look forward to working with you guys on this project. Thank you so much for bringing it to us.
Thank you.
All righty. Our next pre-application conference is 0 Lexington Avenue, construction of a new single-family home.
And this one is, it's at, what is the address?
0 Lexington
0,
Avenue.
yeah.
So it's a new house, right? So it doesn't
And I'm
have
sorry, guys, so since the staff report was published, we now confirmed it is 7/14 officially with City GIS.
Oh, great.
So our department got that done. Thank
You're
you,
legit
Marina.
now.
That's right. We like to suspend, to hold out on the exciting things and announce them on live television.
714.
714 Lexington. So this is within the Martha Jefferson Historic Conservation District. You usually don't get a lot of, we don't get a lot of new dwellings anywhere, really. It's surprising how few new dwelling units you all have looked at, and we rarely get a sort of a pre-app discussion within a conservation district. This is a vacant lot. This is, if you recall, the project we looked at St. Charles last month. This is sort of on the Lexington side and one to the north of that. And the property owner that's developing this the house will look very much like following the lines of the house you see here on the left of this. Where there are a few, if you've seen in the drawings, there's some setback and boundary line issues they need to resolve because the house at 716 actually encroaches, but those aren't problematic, and it's not anything that would affect what you guys are looking at. So we know that has to be addressed. It's always difficult in a conservation district because we are supposed to have a lighter touch. Yet at the same time, we do want to, make sure that at least that front elevation is and in this case, is compatible with the district. So in my staff report, I offer, some of the comparisons of the, I think it fits the setback, the spacing between it, the height certainly does. Materiality-wise, I think there are some questions about what's going where, and possibly some detailing of elements at that front elevation. This thing could be 100 feet long going to the rear. We're not looking at that like we would with an ADC district, so focusing on that front elevation and what's visible from the street. Kate, I'm trying to remember, what was it that we had? There was like one or two things we spotted. Yeah, I think primarily it's that for me and for you all this is one where, like on St. Charles, if conceptually this design fits and you all have any questions about the materiality and how it will be used, the opportunity is there for staff to review it after this, to review it administratively if you all allow that. But I think that we would want to get, this is sort of a stark elevation here, so there's not enough detail there to sort of judge what we're getting. So I'd like to have that discussion now if we can, or at least get some clarity so that possibly we can review this administratively. Yeah, so I know the applicant's here, right? And we do lay this out again. If you go to the staff report, going through what's nice about the design guidelines for conservation districts, they're only 2.5 pages long, so it's relatively easy to kind of go through and find things. Now, one thing different about this house that it does have a carport on the side, and so it's not a garage. We do have porte cocheres in a few other houses. It's not completely unusual, but I think even with that, this house design-wise fits. It certainly is complementary to the house next door, and the fact that that side is in a garage, I didn't see any problem with that. So, any questions for me?
Okay. As the applicant's here, would you guys like to, I don't know if you have a presentation or not, or if you just want to answer questions, whatever you prefer.
Yeah, no formal presentation. I can just give a brief summary. I'm Bridget with Alloy Workshop, representing our clients, David and Chris Gardner. Our client is looking for primarily an age-in-place, modest structure that they can move into and stay there. So hence the single story. I think I noted a comment that actually much of the neighborhood was 2-story, which would have been great too, but I think given the program that we have with our clients, a single-story space made more sense. And they're looking for a modest-sized house, under 2,000 square feet is what we're shooting for. So again, kind of the footprint makes sense as a single-story space. They really like a lot of the views from the site, especially in the back. That kind of informed the L-shaped design around a patio pool area. So that was kind of a feature when we were doing the design. And then also, as you've noted, the carport, we looked at many options, everything from a detached garage in the back of the site, parking spots in the front, carports, and again, I think with the aging in place goal, having near proximity of whatever parking structure we were going with to the house became something we really wanted to attain. And we landed on this carport, which is kind of embedded into the house design. And the goal there was to make it so that it's not a freestanding carport structure per se in the front of the yard or the side of the yard, but that it kind of just integrates into the whole design to be more minimal, I guess, with being a parking structure. I think that's it.
Okay.
Can ask questions.
Great, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just start and say I feel like this fits in pretty well with at least the house right next door and fits into the neighborhood really sympathetically, so I commend you for that.
Thanks.
Anybody?
Have you guys worked with zoning yet on this?
We have been in communication, and as Jeffrey mentioned, we have to talk about the property line, which we actually have a meeting with Benjamin Covey tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
And so we'll get that resolved.
I guess I'm actually more wondering about the carport.
Oh, he gave thumbs up to move
Interesting.
forward with that, yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Planning Commission's been having discussions about active depth requirements and whether, yeah, so that's interesting. I need to talk to Ben, I guess, to see what the interpretation is there.
Okay. Were you thinking that it explicitly said?
I thought it wasn't allowed. But if it is, that's great. I think, well, the Planning Commission's been having a lot of discussions about this, so it'd be interesting I'll talk to Ben.
Okay, great.
Not to get you guys in trouble, but
No, that's
to
fine.
find out what his
No,
interpretation
again,
is.
and I want the goal of this meeting to be
Yeah.
with the previous applicant, everything, and what we can't do is just as helpful as what we can do, so.
I don't know what the planning commission says, but I much prefer a carport to a garage snout at the beginning of the house.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a question. When I look at A1.6, the perspective, it looks like there are already some curb cuts that are, I'm not sure exactly where that is. Is this a single property that's being divided by the owner?
It has already been divided, I believe. My colleague Michael Plain can speak more to that.
They purchased both lots together and immediately divided it.
Okay. So I guess that curb cut is a remnant of when this was a single property, and
I believe that's right.
it would seem you'd want to get rid of that, and if you're going to have one right next to it, but seems obvious, but worth noting. And I actually agree with the other comments here about the carport being better than garage doors facing the street. But I think that you could potentially explore the side elevation of the carport so that it doesn't quite look like a truss that's spanning 24 feet. You know, that could become a little more opaque with maybe a low wall or maybe some openings or maybe even just sort of a columnation that breaks that scale down a little bit.
It's not so much the roof line that's problematic, but just breaking it up a bit.
To me, it just seems like it looks like a park gazebo on the side, and it seems like it would be more residential if that had a little bit more scale to it. I mean, it might be just as simple as having another couple posts there,
Okay.
in my mind.
What material for the siding?
The client would very much like it to be brick. However, we have budget concerns, and so we have hardy siding as another alternate material in the color kind of that you see in the image there. So hopefully brick, but if we have budget constraints, then it will be, hardy horizontal plank siding.
In the materials they submitted.
I just have a question. Is the intention to kind of match the aesthetic of the neighboring property with the volume?
Yeah, certainly with the form, like the roof lines and the front elevation. The neighboring property is brick. Like I said, I don't know if we're going to be able to do brick, but yeah, we were kind of trying to just tie in with the adjacent house there.
Okay. Are you good?
No, I mean, I think I'm curious about the carport. I find it to be a little jarring, but I think Roger's suggestion of some sort of cladding or screen or something along that adjoining property side would be really helpful. And also, like, it makes me wonder what is the material inside of the carport, because with the car not there, I don't want to look in and see garage, you know. I think it having
Or drywall.
brick
Yeah.
or, you know,
No, I think
Hardy.
I think the Hardy would wrap all the way around. Yeah, certainly.
and then the it also brings up the question of the surface of the driveway. What is that, and is that continuous going into the, because I guess what I'm reading with it is that, like, I'm not sure if that's interior or exterior space, and that's creating a bit of a tension with me. I don't know that it can't be resolved, but I think it's a curious condition that I would like to see more of, with more resolution of the details. Yeah.
We have not given a ton of thought as to the material, I would say, for the driveway yet, and if it's differentiated once you are inside the carport area versus outside. I know our clients would like something very maintenance-free. But yeah, this is all good food for thought, because I have not dug into the materials yet.
Are there driveways in the adjacent properties or in the neighborhood?
I
And
think
what material
a
are they?
lot of just asphalt neighboring driveways. Frankly,
It's a
yeah.
lot of everything over
And
there.
there are a couple carports further up Lexington, so there is a precedent. I mean, they're off to the sides of the houses, they're never kind of made part of the massing of the house, but
The
there are a
district
couple.
ends there, though. That's the last house on the left kind of thing.
You can see the floor of the carport being concrete.
Yeah, that's gonna have to be concrete. And it'd actually be nice if it were concrete all the way out. With a nice colored concrete versus blacktop. That's gonna be as big yes, garage doors on a front facade are kind of an eyesore, but, having a big asphalt driveway going up on the front of the house isn't exactly beautiful either. Yeah, that's a nice one.
Yeah, and Martha, Jeff, you've got one of everything. Not really too much about the site issues in the guidelines. But it is one of those places, if you want an example, it's probably over there.
Can you peek at the other house on the other side real quick?
These are not in the district, but
No, but the neighboring house on the other side of this parcel,
this.
the one that it's mimicking, or?
Yeah.
716, I think.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah.
It's a little hard to see.
So I guess I have a question about
No,
that
it's not
house.
really a curb cut, it's just a.
Yeah.
Is that house, does it have additions on the back?
Yeah, it definitely has, at a certain point,
Multiple additions?
things added on.
So where I was going with that was kind of going to materiality, like, and I don't know, it's hard to see what those materials are, if they're all the same, or if
There's
there's,
pictures of the staff.
there, yes, but I didn't.
I didn't see that.
So where I was going with this is potentially you might explore, because it seems like you're following suit a little bit in the massing of your design to kind of have it look like it's got additions going to the back, at least with the changes in roof line and whatnot.
Right.
And so you might actually play with that, and even though it's a, one building campaign, you could kind of form up additions, if you will, if you needed to change materiality, and that might help your budget issues as well, where perhaps like the front of the house could be brick, but then potentially have different material that went back just to Just that way the brick might fit in better with the streetscape. And then if you needed to save a little money, switch to already plank going back.
Kind of like with the neighboring house, that it's, yeah,
You're already
added
broken
on.
it down on your roof line, right?
Right,
Kind of
right.
Match that as you go back to make it
I
like a
see.
faux additions, if you will.
The last time we worked with Bridget on a project was that house over on Hartman's Mill Road that was a collection of,
Yeah.
we're not sure what. So she's had good experience with
That was
what
unique.
is
That was
this?
a unique case.
Is this house slab on grade? Is that how you're gonna build it?
We usually like to do a crawl space of some sort for all of the HVAC and plumbing considerations. I think it just seems to be our preference typically. Is that, yeah, is that fine?
I like it.
Okay.
So, I'm just gonna say this, you guys can decide if you wanna do anything with it or not, but just in case, I don't want you guys to get a gotcha later on for zoning.
Exactly.
What I just looked up and what I think is the way this works is your minimum build to width is 65% of the lot width. And that build to width, all of it, has to be, everything that's up to that 65% has to be treated as active depth. And parking is not allowed within that active depth. So just as you're doing the math on the site for how wide everything is, just make sure that doesn't become, and maybe there's an exception somewhere that I missed.
Okay.
But my understanding is that for 65% of the lot width has to be building without cars in it. So I guess, and yeah, again, there could be an exception, but I just don't want you guys to like get so far down the road and then when it gets the building permit, someone says, oh, wait a sec, you can't do this.
Right, precisely. That's why, yeah, all of your comments are very appreciated. So that is a rule within the zoning?
Yes.
guidelines? Okay.
Yes.
And Carl, does that mean that they would allow a garage?
No, because that's still, the garage would
Still
be,
considered
you'd be
parking.
parking within that act.
Okay.
So if you had 65%
Yeah,
lot
where do you
width
park?
was house, and then another 10% was garage, then it would be okay. But it's, so that's my understanding. I could be very wrong, but I guess I don't want you guys to get so
Yeah.
far down that it becomes a problem.
Okay.
But I also don't want you to like poke the bear and get in trouble if it's up to you guys if you even want to do anything
Yeah,
with
don't
that.
hook the bear.
If you got your yes, take it.
Yeah, you got a yes. And we're
Not
not
to say
here
from
to
us.
enforce the zoning code.
No, we're not.
Carl happens to be really,
I am, no, I
is the enforcer.
So there's,
this is just,
so the BAR has,
Commentary.
the BAR has one member who's a member of the zoning or the planning commission that's on the BAR.
Yes.
Carl. So,
and has no role in enforcing the zoning code at all. But just is trying to be a little bit helpful.
that's right.
Helpful.
Yeah.
That's right.
So we try, well, no, we've been doing, for the last several months, the Tuesday after the BAR deadline, we present what we've received as applications, discuss it with the planning and zoning staff, and sort of say, is there any problems here, any questions here, any issues here? And so there's been a lot of discussions, I know, about the carport on the side for some time. So we heard nothing that, but I think Carl's,
There could be an exception to
Yeah.
single-family houses that I completely missed,
Yeah,
because the
so-
zoning code is
but
so
yeah.
complicated.
I do want to get that, sign off
Yeah.
to continue forward, yeah.
Any, I don't know, thoughts on roofing? I mean, the material proposing is it standing seam like the one next door?
Fantastic.
Ideally, and again, with
Asphalt.
budget, with a budget backup option, just asphalt
Asphalt
shingle.
shingles.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's fine.
But hopefully metal,
Yeah.
yeah.
I would encourage, like you've shown, the architectural shingles as opposed to 3-tab if you go with asphalt.
Yeah, certainly.
please. And I'm not a fan of the cap on the standing seam roof, but it's not a historic building, so I'm not gonna die on that hill.
And one of the things in the guidelines is to encourage good stewardship of the Maplewood Cemetery. But
Wait, what?
What is that?
It's one of the guidelines, but
okay. Well, that doesn't
we
apply to
put
this.
not applicable.
There you go.
Right.
So,
I was gonna say, why are we raising that?
yeah, I've never really understood how that might be applied to a COA, a new
Fair
dwelling or an alteration.
Adjoining properties it would, on 8th Street and Maple.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell Parks and
perhaps a
Rec they
project.
need COAs for new.
Or if a project came up on the cemetery itself, right? Maybe that was
Maybe,
where it'd
yeah.
apply. Any other thoughts?
Just
Yeah, please
one
go
more
ahead.
comment.
Sure.
I live in North Downtown, but not in an ADC district, so kind of similar to this. We're not even in a conservation district, I'm kind of in a, but there are houses that are about the age of houses on the street, like mine is exactly the age of 716. And I have 3 carports, original to houses, going up the street, 3 in a row, and my neighbor just built, she renovated a house, but it is not recognizable from the original. They might have done, but she put a new carport that is not connected to the house on her property. And, frankly, I'd rather see a carport than, certainly than a garage. But I do think that people, owners want to get their cars off the streets. It's, parking's at a premium. And I don't have any problem with this carport at all. It's a much better solution than an application that we saw last month where we were looking at a garage door, and with the setbacks, a garage door that's right on the street. That's just, I'd frankly rather see people's junk in their carport because it's interesting rather than, an overhead garage door. I'm sorry. I have a neighbor who has all kinds of interesting things in there. I'm always wondering what's going on in there. There are it is a living space, I would say. A lot like front porches, a lot like, maybe the loggia or whatever we looked at, but a screened-in porch, it is a living space to some extent. It doesn't just contain a car, it'll have lots of items in it. And, maybe through your good design, you can create storage niches or whatever that, but that's beyond our purview. Okay. So I have no personal objection, particularly in a historic conservation district, to carports. I think it's a great solution on this one.
Yeah. People tend to park in carports. They tend to fill their garages with stuff. I will say, when I was building and you had something like this, we almost had a 3-car garage with piers in between, and the bet was, all right, well, which one are they going to hit first backing into this thing? So I would encourage a robust post at that corner.
Yeah, and I would also say for, the intention of these owners, and probably it's a good matter of public policy, that a cover over your car, is helpful. As we just found out 4 weeks ago with that storm, some people didn't have to spend 6 hours digging their car out like I did. That was 3 hours in the sleet, and then when the city plowed against my car, then I had to dig it out again with my ice pick. So I just don't have an issue with this at all, so, yeah.
Would you all be comfortable, I don't know where your schedule is on this, how quickly, it hasn't moved like it's an urgent project, but,
No, it's not urgent, but-
it's, as we go forward, I can certainly check with the chairs and see how they feel about it, unless you all have, really want to see this come back to you formally.
Oh, that was the note that you had in the staff report that staff could, even with a major review, could do it internally.
It was in the old ordinance fairly clearly for conservation districts, and it got a little diluted in the current zone. So I'm just using it as but I can get direction from the BAR. So I'm seeking that where it had been something, could be reviewed by the chair. So
I think I would say yes. As the applicant has really done a good job showing us the materials they want to use, including alternates, right? That I think we all find acceptable. I think that my only thing that Carl's kind of brought up a few potential zoning questions that may need clarification, I'll just say. And if those result in any major design revisions, then I think you should bring it back to us. I think if this thing stays relatively the same in terms of form and massing and the details we've talked about, then I think I'm okay with the
Okay.
administrative.
I would be too.
I'll just be in the minority and say just voyeuristically, I'd like to see what you come up with.
I
But just maybe by way of information at least from staff.
have one other question. You said this is for an aging in place. Are you making this handicapped accessible?
That's the goal, as much
Looks
as,
like
as
it's
much as we can.
universal.
Yeah.
Okay, so the front door is going to be wider than a typical front door?
Yeah, it'll be at least, 36 inches wide
Okay,
and no steps.
and no steps.
Yeah.
I'll just rattle off sort of like I did with the last applicant, summarize what we talked about, hitting the high points, and if folks want to please add in if I missed something or whatnot. So Historic Conservation District essentially means we take a little bit of a lighter touch and focus mainly on what's visible from the street. I think this project, as shown, is sympathetic with the neighboring house and fits into the district very well. I think there's some support for the carport. We definitely feel the carport is a better option than a garage. Though, as I mentioned, you may want to double check on the zoning, but at the same time, if you've gotten your yes, you might just take that yes. Though on the carport itself, I think there's some interest in breaking down the side elevation of it, either through some additional columns or a screen or a low wall, just something to kind of break it up a little bit, give some visual separation for the neighboring property looking in. Also, on the carport, we talked about the materiality of the driveway, that perhaps concrete would be more appealing than asphalt. Certainly concrete floor in the carport itself, and preferable to have it go all the way to the street if possible. The siding, the bricks preferred, I think we agree with that. The alternate of the hardy plank is acceptable. We also talked a little bit about exploring possibly, breaking down the house as it goes further back into the appearance of additions to potentially match the roof line changes, and that might be a way to save some money and achieve the brick on the front portion of the house. Also on the carport, the interior, the two walls of the carport should match the exterior of the house, and so it should read as that's part of the exterior of the house. Did that catch everything? Anything else?
I think I might be in the minority about
Okay.
this coming back to us, though. I feel like a new
You wanna see
house
it?
in a historic conservation district, there's not that many opportunities.
Sure.
I mean, I think if this were a small addition or something, but this is a whole
It's
new
a new
house.
build. Okay, let's have it come back.
And we'll have a light touch with it.
That's true.
then, And there's nothing that you're doing that would suggest otherwise, but I think it's worthwhile.
It is also visible from two public rights-of-way. If we think about it, it's also from St. Charles on the other side, so.
Okay, then I'm happy to ask for it to come back. I'm not going to fight that too hard. I think the applicant's done a really good job. I think hopefully we've given you good feedback. Do you have any other questions for us before we?
I did
Break
have
up.
one question. I think it was in the staff notes, just the comment about the setback. We had matched, I think, basically based on the adjacent house, but in reading the comments, I was almost wondering if you thought it should be set farther back, which it could be. There was nothing that, why we were just kind of matching the next door house. But if the whole district has usually like a farther setback, that's something that we could, probably do if that helped things.
Yeah, I think it was fine. It's,
I think it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Good either
Yeah.
way.
it's a little short from what the guidelines say, but in the sort of the eclectic nature of Martha Jeff, it's a very wide range, and I think, ranging in the 20s to the 50s, and this being at 20 and also the grade, this isn't high up or pronounced, it sort of steps down a little, so I don't think that's a problem at all.
Okay, great. And then, just following up on what you were talking about with coming back, so I would bring this project back again at one more meeting, probably as like an action item, is that it?
Yeah. I
And
think so.
then when typically in the design process is that best to bring back for the second time?
as much as you've got,
So at the end of design?
if possible.
Okay.
I mean, there's always a little risk of if we want to make changes and you've gone too far, but I think this is in a pretty good spot.
When you know what the outside's going to look
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
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 We don't need to see the floor plan.
That's true.
The schematic that's up is fine because it gives us a sense for the volumes, but we don't need to see interior detail.
Okay, okay.
I do like the Christmas closet, though. That's
Yes,
good
that
stuff.
was a very important programmatic element.
Our next BAR Christmas party.
That's right.
Yeah.
Invite ourselves.
So, great.
Great, thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, appreciate it.
Thank you. What was the name of that over there on Hartman's Mill? Why can't I think of where we found the cemetery in the woods and the...
Is that,
It was the Nemo House.
Nemo.
Yeah.
Billy Hunt?
I went to Billy Hunt.
Billy Hunt, yeah.
Billy Hunt, yes,
I
yes.
went to Burning Man with them, remember? You pointed it out.
That's awesome.
Have you been in it?
It was my
Kate?
first BAR anything.
That was just again, that goes down in BAR lore. It was the first time we all got together during COVID. None of us knew exactly how to behave.
True.
It was like we got out and we were outside and we were somewhere else and seeing people other than our spouses or kids. It really had this amazing feel to it. I think we were like sitting in their parking lot for an hour afterwards, chatting, waiting for them to come say, "Are you gonna leave?" But it was, and that's where Billy had an instrument that was a mannequin.
Oh, God.
And James and I walked into the little cottage in the back, and the little mannequin's sitting there in the shadows. And,
It was really.
It's creepy.
It was a little
James
weird.
and
We screamed like little girls.
James and Jody did some demolition exploratory work.
Investigative probe.
Then we found a
Looking at
cemetery in the
the-
front yard. It was but it still is one of the most interesting houses. And I know Bridget and I, we've talked at times like, what's what? No idea, but it's where we had determined through the census, you could see where, every couple of years they had a kid or a grandkid and they were just acquiring new things as they went. So you should take a class over there and have them explore that place. All right, so a couple things.
Figure out the evolution.
Do you guys need a break or anything, or? I mean, I don't have
Depends
a
on
lot.
how long you want to go.
I know you do, but I've got some.
You may need a permanent break.
All right, so I voted to freeze the fountains. All right, move on.
No, it's not that simple,
what?
unfortunately. So,
Get our hopes up.
first off, just a couple of updates on things. There are some lighting issues on the mall that some of you've noticed. Carl, I'm surprised you haven't asked me.
I think I did. Maybe we
Okay, you
forgot.
may have.
We'll
So-
see which ones you're pinpointing.
So there was some uplighting installed at the base of the trees last fall that my understanding was they were temporary, but they've now been permanently affixed to the light posts.
So they can't be knocked over.
So it can't be knocked over. And then there are catenary lights have been installed over at the intersections. There's support for these at the city manager's office, so I mean, they like what they're seeing. So there's some discussions I need to have with, all right, well, when, they can't just have things sometimes go to we don't just get trash cans, but we don't look at lights. So, so I have some work cut out for me, but what I've said about the catenary lights is that, I think most importantly that they follow what we established for the cafe spaces for the catenary lights. But if they're going to be permanent, the comment today was then they should be installed in that way, not look like someone threw Christmas lights on their front porch. I mean, that's the exact words I used. I'm not happy with the uplights at the trees. I particularly, if for no other reason than, uplighting is something we try to not have in the city to reduce light pollution. So I'm asking some questions about what exactly, how bright are they, et cetera. The lights that are within the tree box used to have an uplight element that was eliminated. So as far as and Kate was in the meeting yesterday or the day before, and I was waxing very architecturally, and people were kind of just looking at me. I said, lighting is part of the design, this is a design landscape on the National Register. We can't just go putting in lights here and there because, someone
Was
thinks.
this Parks and Rec?
I'm not pointing my finger at anybody. I'm building bridges. But I'm just letting you all know that and Carl's right, he has asked me, and I wear these, so there'll be some conversations about, and I think try to get, going forward, some direction on, from the city manager's office, we can't just come to the BAR intermittently. What did I do? Oh, and now cafe spaces.
You called out
wait,
Carl, but Carl, I think, wanted to.
I'm sorry.
Two quick comments on the lights, or when you're talking about these. They do get, the people move them, like, I guess they're fixed now, but people rotate them. So are they going to be, is that going to also be fixed? Because what ends up happening is you walk down the mall and someone's got a spotlight and it's shining right in your face and it's blinding. The other thing is, the color, it was cool when they had like the rainbow colors at one point. I think they did that some Christmas 2 years ago or whatever. But now it's, the standard setting, I think, is someone's idea of cool white, but it's purple. And I don't know if we can just go back to our guidelines of stick with a warm white color. Warm isn't a yellow.
So that is the color temperature is a function of our ordinance now.
Yes.
And so.
And these are not in compliance at all.
And that's where I've asked for some information about these. The other comment I made, I said it's likely the BAR will ask, well, if you want uplighting, why not you can go back to what had originally been designed and put those back in. But here, I'm making a note and I'll check on that color temp. The cafe spaces, been a lot of discussions about how and when to bring forward the requirements that you all worked on a year and a half, 2 years ago. And that's been there's a lot going on that's
Fall 2024.
Yeah, that's above us about how and when and who and to what level of enforcement. But we're expecting this spring, you'll start to see some, a little more engagement than.
Didn't we talk about that and decide it was like if there was a change in ownership or something?
There are things that are within, there's things within the ordinance that what we have, and it's as we presented to the council when we talked 2 years ago, or a year ago, or in December. If an operator is there and they're continuing to operate, they've got a space, they've got stuff out there, they've paid their fee, and that's the big one. They've paid their fee, then they presumably have a COA, or we will be giving them one that no fee, but they may have to remove some things. There may be, like, for example, at the west end of the mall, the large trough planters were removed, so we don't have to say anything. But there's a few things, a few places will have to change. But by and large, if it's been in operation continuously, we're not going to make them change too much. If a new space, let's say a new operator comes in, new space, then they have to get a COA. Or if somebody with an existing space or a new space wants to change something, then they would come in and revise the COA. But we are really going to be spending the next several months letting people know you're good to go except for ABC. And so, but we're not, I think the idea is sometime in March to start sort of having conversations with the, but a person has been given the job of the downtown manager and will be taking on some of this liaison work with the operators.
So we're not, we slogged through that and got it approved by city council. So we aren't going to bear the brunt of any, like, variances? Are people going to start bringing us, like, we'd like a variance on that cafe space ruling or guideline? I guess they could.
Say that again?
Like, if someone wanted to request a variance on the cafe space guidelines that we kind of redefined,
They would have to apply for a COA.
COA, and then it would come to us.
Right, right. But if they.
But this
what they cur-
liaison could maybe hopefully curb that before it gets to us?
That's the hope.
That'd be
That's the
nice.
goal.
That makes sense. If someone really wants to do something,
Then they should come to us.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
It's a function of, there's actually, chapter 28 of the code addresses license and, or a permit, they call it, to operate a cafe in the public right of way. And if you violate certain rules, the penalty is to revoke that permit. But a COA is under chapter 34 of the code, and to violate the COA is a zoning violation. So we're still sort of going, all right, well, who's going to tell people what happens if you don't do X, Y, Z? So, but we're getting there on those, and I do see some light at the end of the tunnel.
I guess I just hope that there's a gatekeeper, so to speak, where, you know, we're not getting hit up with like every single vendor wanting one more baker's rack to put plates on, or, you know what I mean? Like, that could get tiresome.
Yeah, and that's where Kate and I serve as that buffer, is
Okay,
that,
great.
and by and large, you will never see a cafe space COA unless someone wants to do something. And if I think it's just it's a bridge too far,
Okay.
you know, may not even bring it to you, but
Great.
you very, very rarely see those things. So, the opportunity we have, if you would call up the fountains.
You made something? Is it in?
I added it to the folder. And while she's looking that up, anybody have any expertise, experience, knowledge about Johnson Village? Richard Guy Wilson is studying it as a late 20th century subdivision. And I don't know, I just throw it out in case, you know, you might say, hey, I looked at it, I have all the original drawings.
I walk through there sometimes, but.
I was surprised to find out they have like gas street lighting.
They have what?
Like apparently the street lights, at least at one point, there were gas lights.
There are two old street lights down on, if you walk down Parkway,
Yeah, Parkway,
There's
there's still
two.
gas.
and
Yeah.
I don't know the story on those.
My
Only two of them,
neighborhood.
but now that you say it, I wonder.
Actually beautiful.
Yeah, well,
Mr.
so
Warner,
if-
can you please tell me the file location?
it's in the February 2026. So that's it. If anybody has knowledge of Johnson Village, yeah, I saved it as Free the Fountains. So the opportunity that we have, and I know some of you were on the BAR the last time Parks and Rec came forward with a proposal to put grates in the fountains, and you all declined to approve that, and I think understandably so. As we go into the 50th of the mall, we're getting some attention. So, yeah, there, that looks great, I know, and it gets better. So, yeah, I thought this is our new rallying cry in the office, Free the Fountains. But there is,
Just wanted to use my
on
voice
cue.
maker.
And he's a dancer. Sorry, that's an old song. The city manager's office has directed folks at Public Works to free the fountains. The thing we have to figure out is they want it to be off-the-shelf solution. So it's, for example, if we have to go find special blocks with the nubs on them type of thing, because, so I was trying to think of ways that we could make this happen and also get your thoughts on a solution. So I know this is a picture, Beth Meyer had given a presentation some time ago. I had never seen those photos. In fact, the next two are the same. It's kind of interesting to see. That kid clearly is being injured by this fountain. And if only he had.
So depressed.
Yeah, it's that. And the next one's even. Look, those people are just, they're afraid of the fountain because it's so dangerous.
As dangerous as the movable chairs?
But the best part, yeah, The best part of this image is the hammock on the far right. Yeah, I cut it off a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Yeah,
Different
they had the
world.
hammocks.
Just a different world. Where Kate and I go out there sometimes, just stare at these things, try to say, all right, how can we do this? Yeah. So this is the fountain at Miller's. There are 3 small fountains. This is the one at Miller's. The next one is the one down towards Chaps. Yeah.
Sorry.
And
I'm done.
I
was wondering where that was coming
I know. I wanted a picture of a fountain behind the bars. Let me out. And then the next one is at the Nook, and so there you go. So there's the context. Now,
really bad.
so taking this image, the idea, and a former BAR member, we'll leave anonymous for now, and I were chatting the other day, and I said, how would you, what's a way to solve this without, we need to have around the perimeter of you need to have 24 inches of a warning strip. And so when I spoke with the folks at Public Works, their idea was to use the
Tactile pavers.
those knobbed, the concrete thing. I'm like, no. And in fact, these are 12 inch by 12 inch, 24 inch granite blocks. So I said, I said, I'd rather you brick them over than we start just tearing out some of this fabric. And the response was, well, we have the concrete pieces. We can't afford to go get granite with the nubs cut into them. And so Mr. Gaspier pointed out to me the other day, he said, well, they make these, go to the next slide real quick. They make these widgets that you can bore holes in the paving stones and install them. So go back. So that solved that one thing was saying, all right, well, we can leave this band of granite in place, but then I still need the additional 12 inches, and they're getting ready to do work at the trash cans. Yes, sir.
Question, so do we have to have the tactile pavers the full 24 inches?
That's my understanding.
So
Who says? Where is that coming from?
So what I was going to propose was leave the granite curb as is and then surround it with the tactile gray paver. Might be a compromise.
Right, and that's a question.
I'd rather do that than add those things, like drilling into the granite kind of is compromising the granite itself. And it's a lot, and I doubt that's probably pretty expensive.
Probably with the other piece of break apart. Well, okay.
Just trying to offer ideas of
Yeah,
compromise to where
one of my
we
questions-
want to get the fountains open.
Right, one of my questions is, what is that? And where I've looked it up, and where I've seen, it's a 24-inch minimum. Here, go back.
Is that Lawrence Halpern, or who is standing
That is
above?
Mr. Halpern. I tried to get him thinking, but I didn't.
So is that an ADA thing?
So it's what I'm
Someone
being
making up.
told, and it's also when I, go on, and look up ADA warning strip, it's consistently 24-inch with the rumble strip type of thing.
Tactiles, yeah.
Truncated dome is the
That's,
official
yeah.
term. And of a lighter color. So I got enthused this morning, and I came in, I had a really bad day yesterday, but I came in today really enthused, because I think we can do this. So and I respect what you're saying, and I can talk to them about it. If it can be 12 inches, I agree, and we do it this way. I hate those concrete things, but what's your thought on that?
But could you put in brick ones perhaps? They must make those.
They have to be a different color. They have to be the different shade.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
And were the grates put there as a safety?
The railings?
The railings.
The railings.
So
Sort of.
Well, you saw, they never used to have anything there.
Yeah.
And then we put up the traffic enclosures for several years. There were people don't even know there were fountains down there. They had those Jersey barriers around them. Parks and Rec wanted to put down metal grates that the water would go through, so you could almost walk across them. The BAR felt that was over the top. And I'll quote Greg, he said, I designed water features all over the world, and we don't hide them behind barriers. So you can have a barrier-free, so the BAR felt that that was just too much. And then the idea did come back to me and said, well, can we put up these cafe space barriers? I said, if it opens up those fountains, because the next step was remove the fountains altogether, brick them over, and we get more cafe space. So this was that compromise, but
And the fountains were Halpern's original
Oh, yeah.
design?
Yes.
And so I mean, it's ironic how we've gotten to there are some voices that they just be rid of these things. You know, I don't want to maintain them. I don't want people fall in them and sue us. We could rent those as cafe spaces. And this is what, this is what Halpern intended, and this is an opportunity to do that. Go now to the.
So I just want to add that even if ADA code requires 24 inches, if we came up with a solution that was in the spirit of the code, I think this is a National Historic Landmark, should weigh into that.
I would, if you all are willing to examine that and offer some suggestions, my hold on this one is rather tenuous. I probably spent more time today thinking about it than I should have. So I'm not asking for free service, but if you have ideas, otherwise.
I just gave you one.
What's that?
I mean, we just gave you one.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
is sort
So,
of
that's what I'm saying, invite
your
Have
idea,
there
just
been problems
backing off of it
with
a
the
little
fountains?
bit.
And in what
Get rid of
manner?
a little
And people getting hurt.
There have been concerns. So, and what I have to accept as staff is that the city's concern is that these present a potential liability, and here's what must be done. And we learned with the Greats that's where their position is, and so I can't. Unless somebody really had something rock solid to say, here is proof, this is the current thinking. So that's why I'm offering it as, it is an opportunity, and I know I'm trying to be a little humorous with Free the Fountains, but this is an opportunity to remove the barriers, at least on those. So these are good ideas, and I know Public Works is enthused to make it happen.
So circling back to where you first started, that the city manager gave direction to Free the Fountains. What did the city manager mean by that? Are they saying,
Well,
go ahead and take the barriers down and fire them back up?
No, with that,
Or,
yes. Yes,
but also trying to kind of.
Not try, meet.
Okay, so
the
we do
ADA.
need to do something,
So
okay.
if you can effectively install the necessary warning barrier
Right.
strip, then you can take down the chains and you can remove the barriers. If that can't be accomplished, then, there is the idea of the grates, putting the grates back in, which you all rejected. What I have instructed people on that is that if council feels strongly about the grates, they can instruct those go in. They are ultimately the decider on these things. So, but that you all had rejected those. So I think there's an approachable solution, and I was worried that adding a 24-inch band, however it's accomplished, would start to interfere with too many things, but it actually fits. And in fact, if you go back and some of the brickwork is so lousy, I gladly,
Yeah.
it's embarrassing.
I also think that this is a good example of where, yes, we may have to make some compromises on the original design intent, but the overriding and overarching goal of the original design was to have these water features be accessible by the public, and so making that concession to achieve that goal is worth it.
Exactly, and that's where I am, and I know there's going to be a difference of opinion on that, but I think that these things being locked up it's unfortunate, and anything we can do to take that step. Central Place is a little more problematic, and the reason being, and I don't know how to solve it, but you can fix it. So you've got and this is a sailor, a stacked sailor course at the edge. To me, this series of brick steps is part of the design. I've said that shouldn't be messed with. That shouldn't be, we should be removing that to put in this tactile.
Is that original material?
Yes, those are, yeah. But what happens is, once you then step outside of this band, and this is all, you can see the sides, go to the next slide. Okay. So you can see this ledge that surrounds everything.
Yeah, it's really,
But, like on one side, you've got a step, you've got this drain on the mall side, you know, you've got a runnel, there's a pump mechanism out there. So as you step away from the pool, there's space to put that band, but I don't know how far, you know, that's one of the things I need to ask, like, if it has to be immediately adjacent to it, do we sacrifice that top ledge, or, but otherwise we have to step out further back, and are we going too far away?
Is the city
A lot going on there.
okay with the idea of if we do some sort of detectable warning, they would get rid of the bollards and chains around the big fountain?
That's the plan. And I've said I'm not really concerned about the bollards, but if we could get the chains down. Now, it may even be that we only take down two sides of the chains. I try
Are they
to.
going to let people walk down the steps
That
and
is,
put their feet in the water?
that is the goal, yes. And to have this done this summer for the 50th. So, as I said, it's an opportunity, but I'm at the same time, folks I'm working with in Public Works, they acknowledge, they said, look, the BAR has its job to do, and they want you to do it. And I've said, you know, when I have to turn around to a private property owner and say, no, you can't do this, puts me in a tough spot to then say, well, yeah, but that's the city, so it's okay. So I want you, you know, stay true to your charge. I'm not asking you to compromise, and I mean, maybe that's some of what I'm saying here is I don't know the answer to these questions, but I have been saying that
Nice to have a landscape
this
architect.
sequence of brick steps is critical. So, I'm sorry, what?
no, I said it'd be nice to have a landscape architect on the
I know. I know a guy.
Not even just on the BAR. I mean, isn't this something that the city would hire a landscape architect to do?
Yeah, but it still would come to the Board of Architectural Review. So I'm trying to, yes, I'm exploiting your presence and enthusiasm to free the fountains. I will say that shamelessly. And I just know that this has to be, the goal is an off-the-shelf solution. And so I just wanted to share with you where I was. You've already had some good ideas that I can take back and, you know.
And unfortunately, the brick paving itself isn't exactly off the shelf, right? They're pretty custom
they're like 12
sizes.
or 14 inch. They're weird.
But
Yes.
presumably you'd be getting enough of them, or whatever it might be.
I mean, it's already, it's so much going on out there. You can just stand in one spot and I don't think Halpern envisioned it being so noisy. But it's because the space that's available for you to look at is so encroached on. You're not looking at this large space. You're standing in this corner and seeing all these things. But it really is a busy place relative to the brick and all the things going on. And I would like, so I so often want to go out there and just start. If a cafe space hasn't been used for a month, I want to throw it in the truck and move it. But yes, this is our opportunity to free the fountains. And a good point about the adding those things.
See if, I mean, that's just sort of, if that's what we have to do to get it, okay, but it seems like that potentially would be very costly to buy a bunch of those presumably stainless steel nubs and drill them into all that granite around each of the fountains.
They are spaced apparently a minimum of 1.6 inches and a maximum of 2.4 inches apart.
Well, there's not much granite left. Yeah.
Jeff, does it have to be truncated domes? Is that the required?
It has to meet whatever the
tactile thing.
Yeah.
Visual impairment.
If
I mean,
you
I think
use a
they-
detectable
They might
warning
not have other
surface, it's got to
options.
be those.
What you're saying?
I'm just wondering if there are other options. Like,
Oh, yeah, there's those
Have you-
brilliant yellow mats that we can glue down.
and pavers too, right? And thin pavers.
At UVA, we did a project on McCormick Road where we replaced the sidewalk, and we were able to use the They're bricks, the brick colored with the truncated domes. Now granted, that was the university's building official, and I think they've now since gone to the yellow. But it was a good, it wasn't as visually, we had a curve that kind of came in front that gave the color change.
Just mentioned here, I mean, if we're just one course of tactile, it would fit, but I don't have any room, and this is the same situation for the other two fountains. There's just, if this must be a tactile surface, and these, like I said, these are big blocks, I can't just pull these out and put pavers down. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But if it is possible to say, you know, a 12-inch strip, and also in combination with that lighter colored material,
That would be nice.
that might work.
Now, do we
That's a
think
good
that on a
compromise.
hot day in the summer, the kids are going to go jump in the fountains?
Why not? I remember when they did in the 90s, and dogs too.
His will.
That's what it's
Yeah.
for.
He will.
Yeah, I mean, at least hands and,
Yeah.
you know.
Dogs would go in there and cool off, and kids too. I'd put my feet in there too.
I've left a few concerts where people are in the fountains after the concerts.
Yeah.
Right?
So
I'm sure that's what we want.
thank you. Good, this is, and hopefully we'll be, continue to have, you'll hear more about this, and folks from Public Works, I invited them to come tonight. They want to do some more research on their end, but yeah, they very much want to find a solution, but I'm not saying it's the rule, but it really has to be off the shelf. We cannot go looking for special order, something or other. It's
And the water is non-potable?
well, depends.
It's just
yeah,
water.
how
right?
thirsty you are. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's.
Heavily chlorine treated, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not.
City water.
I don't ask. Yeah, I don't know. It's
City water's pretty good, actually.
yeah.
I mean, there's a sign. that
Drink at
says-
your own
yeah,
risk, Jerry.
They do treat it just because people have asked, but I don't know how.
I mean, the only other thought I have is are there examples of similar fountains in other cities that have this challenge that we could look to as a precedent?
And actually, yes. So I looked up, because we always had the image of Halpern's, well, in Portland, they've got that.
The big one.
They are currently really evaluating it. It's not, and I'm using the wrong word saying ADA accessibility. It's not that they have to be, it has to be that someone who is a blind, visually impaired, or can know that thing is
Right.
there. And that the very famous water feature in that place in Portland is, it just so happens they're evaluating this exact thing there. So
Yeah.
it's a sign of the times, and but I said we do have the enthusiasm to get it done if we can do it. I don't know. I was not that opposed to the grades, because at least it opened them up. But all right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Great.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh,
So off the record,
clean.
what's happening?